Happy Monday. It's the Jam Nation podcast with us, Jonesy and Amanda.
Yes, we're going to drill down on the protests that happened in Sydney over the weekend.
While people were protesting, I was getting busy in my wardrobe, folding up my T-shirts. I put them all into...
Well, you're living on the edge, man.
I put them all into special order.
Well, thanks to you, the Tribal Drum is beating for Awkward Chat, the celebrity edition, after something you did on the weekend.
Don't remind me. The pub test, other states giving us their vaccines. Does it pass the pub test?
Barry Dubois joins us. He's going to run for a seat as an independent in the federal election.
We better talk about the Olympics. We'll also catch up with Mel McLaughlin from Japan.
And what other countries are saying about anti-vaxxers? It's all coming up.
And we'll remember John Cornell. Enjoy our podcast.
Everybody online.
Right now, by the miracle of recording, we had so many requests for them to do it again.
Mistress Amanda.
Miss Keller.
Amanda. Doesn't work alone.
Wow, this is fantastic.
Her friend is in a back room making the tools of the trade.
I've heard them describe him as a drunken idiot.
Sorry, I've been drinking beer.
The legendary pirate Jonesy and Amanda the actress.
Hello, Wiggles.
Congratulations, Mandy.
We're on the radio right now.
What is it you can't face?
Jonesy and Amanda, you're doing a great job.
You have no empathy for anyone but yourself, you giant tool.
Now's the time to hear good radio.
Sorry, a bit of a tongue twist there.
What are you, an idiot?
Jonesy and Amanda are here.
It's showtime, a-holes. We're on the air.
Monday, so good to me.
Oh, here we are.
Here we are. Yazy.
Lots of things to talk about today. Lots of checking in and seeing how everyone's going. Lots of stuff with protests on the weekend that made me angry, and Olympics, which was great, and we'll discuss it all.
There was a raft of emotions. And what about the wind?
Oh, I'm
Good
not
Lord.
I'm not good with the wind. I took the dog out for an early walk, and then the wind picked up afterwards, which made the day colder than it had been early in the morning.
Yeah, big gusterly westerly. And I walked out on Sunday morning, and the cat, we've got this little ball of fluff cat, and it just doesn't like me in any way.
Really?
It always looks at me like meow, and I came out the door, and it's sitting just on the little fence, and there's a metal gate thing, and it's going meow meow meow. I go, yes, okay, Fizzle, I'll let you in. And at that moment, this big gust of wind came in and went and blew it off the fence. This ball of fluff. Meow. That's not a high fence. It was only a foot off the ground.
Well, they land on
but
their
it was
feet.
just sitting up and going meow with its cranky face.
Yeah.
And meow. And I
Did
laughed.
it turn inside out like an umbrella?
I laughed for ages.
Actually, maybe you should tie its little leg up on a string. It can be like a balloon animal.
Yeah. So that was my weekend.
It was very, very windy.
And I organised my T-shirt drawer as well. That's what I did. I got my rock T-shirts, and I got all my motorbike T-shirts, and I got all the quirky T-shirts that you've bought me with quirky phrases on them, like stand clear, erection in progress.
I've never sent you that. They were underpants.
And bring back the Pasha Bolka. That's
I did buy you that.
I enjoyed the North Norfolk Owl Sanctuary.
That was from Alan Partridge.
Yep.
Well, don't you like those
No, I
T-shirts?
love those shirts, but they're all together. Because what I want is...
Oh, I see.
What I want to do is when I go out, what mood am I in? Do I feel like being quirky and crazy, or do I, want to wear a Guns N' Roses shirt? That's all.
I looked at my cupboards and thought I should do that, and for the fourth weekend in a row, I didn't.
Yeah, that's the other thing, isn't it?
I did bake biscuits. Every weekend, I bake biscuits. There's about 35 of them in the batch that I do, and there's always 2 left on Monday morning.
Well, where's
it's
my biscuits?
Harley and Jack just hoover them up.
The big gutses? Where's Jonesy's biscuits?
Well, you make your own biscuits. You've got your own house.
Yeah, but
You've
I
got
thought you'd make me a treat.
But how can I when I make an entire batch and 2 members of my family eat them all anyway?
Yeah.
Don't eat them, everyone. They're for Jonesy. How's that going to sound? How's that going to sound?
Oh, I think it's reasonable. The fellas like me.
I'll say, first of all, you've given him some good T-shirts. Now this...
Action-packed show today. I'm going to be joined by Barry Dubois. He's got an amazing announcement. Now, you might have seen that he's running for Parliament.
Right, he's running for the Senate at
Yeah.
the next election.
What's that? Isn't that Parliament?
Well, the Senate, and we'll get him to explain all this. They're the gatekeepers, so all the legislation has to go through them. So he's going to run as an independent, and he'll tell us more about that.
Also, Mel McLaughlin will be talking to us from Tokyo, and we can't do anything until we do the Magnificent Seven.
Question 1. If you've made a typo, what have you done?
Jam Nation podcast.
We have the Magnificent Seven. There are 7 questions. Can you go all the way and answer all 7 questions correctly? If you do that, that is a great thing. But really, it's about getting question 7 right.
Well, let's kick off with Ron in Helensburgh. Hello, Ron.
Hi, how are you?
Very well. This is one of the, if you said to someone of the past generation, they wouldn't understand what a typo is. If you've made a typo, what have you done?
Is it a mistake?
Yeah.
It's a mistake.
Typing error. Yep.
Wonderpuss.
I think it's puss.
I'm just saying it as I see it. Starsucker pygmy and blue-ringed are types of what?
It's a wonder puss.
Are you sure it's a wonderpuss?
Yes.
I bet you say that to all the boys.
Is it octopus?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
A wonder puss. That sounds like, pimple-popping doctors on the internet.
Okay, wonderpuss. Let's play First Impressions.
First impression. First impression. On the land.
This is where we do an impression of a famous person and you need to guess who it is, Ron.
Okay, you ready, Ron? I'm going to do it.
Okay.
It's easy today. Hello, possums! Who's that?
Dame Edna?
Let's see. Pretty
Uncanny.
much.
I can't tell where you finish and Dame Edna begins.
No, neither can I. With our wonder puss.
According to science, the best place on Earth to see rainbows is where? Is it A, in Hawaii, B, in Antarctica, or C, in Townsville?
Ooh, Antarctica?
I would have thought that too,
You
but
would
that's
think
not
so.
correct. All right, that's question 4. Best place on Earth to see rainbows. Is it Hawaii or Townsville?
Jam Nation.
The Magnificent Seven. We are at question number 4.
Question number 4, and it's going to go to Ryan at the airport. Hello, Ryan. How are you?
Good morning again, guys. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Nice to have you back. You gave us some goss last time. Any more goss?
Any more celebrities being coming and going?
We had Mary Louise Parker from I think that show Weed.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had come through. Zac Efron did another transit.
Again? He's just in and out of the place, isn't he?
Yeah, he comes and goes pretty often.
Isn't he?
Well, it's extraordinary to most Australians that there's that many people who can fly in and out.
Exactly.
And because
He's in and out of the airports, our women, everything.
Mary Louise Parker had been in a show called Weed, did you have to keep an extra special eye on her?
Yeah, well, it is quite busy. Like, it's getting a little bit busier for departures. Arrivals quieting down, but there's definitely a lot of people leaving the country.
They're all getting out.
Yeah, we're no longer the promised land,
They're
are
all
we?
thinking, okay, America doesn't look so bad.
Yeah. All right, well, we're up to question number 4 with you. According to science, the best place on Earth to see rainbows, is it Hawaii or Townsville?
Hawaii.
It is
It's going to be Hawaii. What are the colours of the Olympic rings, Ryan?
Ooh, red,
Yep.
blue,
Yep.
yellow.
Yeah.
2 more.
2 more. All the primary ones. Green.
Yep,
Yep.
and 1 more.
1 more. Bloody hell. This is what's going to get me. What have I said? Yellow, green.
You've said yellow, green, blue, and you've got blue, yellow, green, and red. You've said.
Yeah.
What's left?
We can do this all day.
I don't know. I'm going to go orange.
Oh, Ryan.
Say hi to Zach when you see him.
When you see him in half an hour again.
Donna's in Layla Park. Hello, Donna.
Hello, Jonesy. Hello, Amanda.
Hello, we're looking for the colours of the Olympic rings. We've got blue, yellow, red, and green. What's the other one?
Ryan's done all the work for you. Black.
It is. It's black.
Who is the lead singer of the Rolling Stones?
Name.
Come on, Donna. I would have thought this was an easy one.
Jimmy. Oh, what's his name?
Oh, no, and your phone line's bad. I'm sorry, Donna.
Paul's in Barara.
Hello, Paul.
Hello. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Who's the lead singer of the Rolling Stones?
Mick Jagger.
It is. He's 78 today.
It's his birthday.
It's his birthday. He's got 1 million children. The eldest of his children is 51.
Yep.
The youngest is 4.
Holy cow.
He's great-grandfather material, isn't he? He probably would be a great-grandfather.
That is, so the eldest is 51, the youngest is 4. That's like a whole demographic.
That's 2 generations.
That's like the Hey It's Saturday demographic, the people that watch the show.
So his 51-year-old, Karis, is old enough to be the grandmother of Devereaux, who's 4.
Easily.
Wow. So you know where they always make those jokes where kids say to their parents, "What'd you do in the good old days?"
Yeah.
Well, Mick was walking with the dinosaurs.
And happy birthday to you. Who won the NRL match between the Bulldogs and the Sharks yesterday?
Oh, God, I didn't watch it.
It's a good game.
Pick a side.
I'll take a step in the dark and say Sharks.
It was the Sharks.
Sharks won.
Did you see Katoa? God, kid's on fire. And Talakai, did you see him? It's like a giant unit. I'm worried about Sean Johnson, though. Because, he had his hamstring.
Yeah.
Now, he had his Achilles. Now he's done his hamstring. It's a tough game, isn't it? Congratulations to you, Paul. The Jam Pack is coming your way. You've got a $150 Napoleon Purtis Cosmetics voucher.
Ooh.
Look good. Feel great.
Sure, you'll get some nice stuff in there.
A Young Living diffuser.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course. A Young Living diffuser pack, world leader in essential oils. Visit youngliving.com.au. And the Jonesy and Amanda Gate to choose a bit of colour and some Stay the Pencils. There you go, Paul.
Thank you.
Good on you, Paul.
Carry on about your business. Thank you for joining us. Magnificent 7 back again the same time tomorrow. Coming up in the meantime, we've got Mel McLaughlin live from Tokyo.
Live from Tokyo. We've got Barry Dubois joining us and the 5K Fast 5 out of the news at 7.
Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation Podcast.
Last off for Kicksville.
Let's see what happens.
I want to flick through the Jalmanac, our big book of musical facts. On this day in 1942, the US singer Lawrence Darrow Brown was born. You'll know him better as Dobie Gray.
Well.
In the 60s, he moved to LA. He met record manager Sonny Bono. It was Sonny Bono who came up with the stage name for him because he'd seen the sitcom The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis.
Of course.
So in 1973, Sonny Bono helped Dobie hit the charts with Drift Away. So many people have covered it. It's a very, very popular song. Here's Rod Stewart. Have a guess who this is.
That's the Rolling Stones.
Yeah. There's this guy, your boyfriend.
MB.
Michael Bolton.
I call him MB.
What about this one? Do you call that one UK? Uncle Cracker?
Is that Uncle Cracker? That's Uncle Cracker.
Uncle Cracker. Well, sadly, Dobie left us in 2011 after complications in surgery to treat his cancer, but hopefully he was able to peacefully drift away.
Nice. Well, not that he's dead.
Well, that's good.
Nice song. Nice eulogy.
Jam Nation.
So I organised my T-shirt drawer on the weekend, rock shirts, bike shirts, quirky shirts that Amanda has given me. I programmed my TV so we can get 7 Mate and 7 2 because I've got on my TV. Have you found this with TVs now? They're so confusing and you have so many streaming services. So I've got my Foxtel and I've got my Telstra TV, I've got my Apple TV, I've got my Netflix, I've got my Fetch TV. I've even got a TiVo still. Remember TiVo?
Yeah.
That's still
Have you got a
there.
VHS?
I've got a VHS in there as well. So, and Helen wanted to watch, I think it's the Equestrian or something, and she needed to get 7-2. And that was the only channel I couldn't get. So I had to go back into just the TV.
Mm.
And
do you know?
And there's this keyboard. I've got this TV. I never knew it. It's got a keyboard that comes with it. And I went, well, maybe this. And then I'm typing away on this keyboard.
To my embarrassment, if Harley's been watching his live streaming volcanoes and then he leaves the room and I want to watch something on free to air, I have to ask him how to use the television.
Because if he can't fix it, he'll see a live streaming volcano in real life in the kitchen.
But it was great. And I was watching the 4x100 metre freestyle, the women yesterday. I was screaming at the TV. And I know after, Sydney's been going through a lot of poo. The whole of the country has.
Yep.
And to have that moment was just brilliant.
And I'm a bit sneery towards the Olympics.
Yes, you're not an Olympics guy.
I'm not a sports guy.
But these ones are also in our time zone, which makes a difference.
That makes it easy. But I'm not a sports guy. I can tell you, I like watching the footy.
To be.
But the opening ceremony, I watched that on Friday. Did you check out the opening ceremony?
I watched a bit of it, and I just. I felt sad for Tokyo that they couldn't have people in the stands, that they couldn't have all the stuff they wanted.
I was happy for it that it was actually going ahead.
Yeah.
And I was happy to hear the commentary and see a bit of the Japanese kook that they chucked in there. And then I was watching the road race, the cycling. I was watching that with my wife. We were just sitting there watching 6 hours of push bike
we watched
riding.
the same Saturday and Sunday. Have you become an expert? I saw a tweet from someone who said, it's hard pivoting from epidemiologist to an expert in a sport I watch once every 4 years, but here I am.
Because my wife said, what's the peloton? Because I hate how there's a lot of presumed knowledge as well when you're watching sport. And I just took a punt. I said, I think that's the main group of riders. She goes, why do you know that? And then she Googled it and found out that I was indeed right. I just taken a bit of a punt there.
Well, at the women's one yesterday, and they ride for like 6 hours with some of the biggest hills. This is the Tour de France, all of that. You don't get hills like this. This is was rated a 20. This big hill, so that's at the end of the day. And it's incredibly hot and humid. And unlike when they normally race, I learned all this from Harley, who claims to be an expert, a bit like you. So he said that normally in any other road race like this, you have access to radio and comms with your team who can say you're coming to the base of a hill and there's 4 people in front of you or do this. They didn't have that. So one woman, an Austrian woman, won, but the peloton didn't know that. They were a bit behind and didn't know someone had already won. So a Dutch rider makes a giant burst at the end and you can see what it costs her. She crossed the line thinking she'd won.
But she hadn't.
She hadn't.
Oh, who broke that to her?
Yeah, well, there was someone from her team who came up and gave her a big hug. There's a camera in her face. He's probably saying, smile, you've got a silver.
What's the Dutch word
for silver.
You're a silver. I was watching the skateboarding. How good is it to see skateboarding in the Olympics?
I still think, how does someone earn a living from being a skateboarder?
When I was 12, I was a massive skateboard fan and I loved skateboards. And all I'd ever do was everywhere I went, I had my skateboard. And my dad one day said, I think less skateboard, more studying at school, mate. And I said, this is not a hobby, it's a sport. And he said, I hardly think you're going to see it at the Olympic Games.
Oh, wow.
In your face, Dad. There it is.
Will mullet growing be in there next time?
And you're also enjoyed about it in this world where you've got to wear high vis and a hard hat for everything. They don't wear any protective gear.
Don't they? Not even around the knees?
Nothing. Because you got to dress like you're street, man. Don't you know?
Wow.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Anyone go off to hospital?
No.
Anyone's mum have to come in with a Band-Aid?
There was
someone's dad who says, get off, get to work.
Go on, that's not a real sport.
Oh, dear.
Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
Podcast. How fast can this thing go?
Faster than the speed of light. Jonesy and Amanda's 5K. Fast 5.
How much are you in our heads? Can you match our Fast 5? 5 things that relate to one random category. All you must do is match your answers with ours and you'll win the cash. We pay $100 for every single match, but if you get all 5, you win $5,000. Today we're joined by Barbara of Sylvania Waters. Hello, Barbara.
Good morning, Jonesy. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you for asking.
Hi,
do you feel
Barbara.
that you're connected
Hi,
to Amanda in some way?
I hope we're in the same brain frame.
Oh, I do too, because it's a category very close to my heart, so
Yes.
I hope we're thinking the same way.
Today's
Me
Fast
too.
5 category is types of soup.
You know I love my soup.
Whenever we go out for somewhere to eat, this is what happens, Barbara. We go to wherever the cafe
In the old days.
in the old days, and I'll just
Yeah,
get
the dark ages.
my usual toasted turkey sandwich, and then Amanda will say, What sort of soup have you got?
What's wrong with that?
And the lady will say, hang on, I'll go and check. So she traipses off, comes back. Yeah, we've got soup. It's pumpkin. It's got cream in it. Hang on, I'll go and check.
What's wrong with that?
This exchange goes for about 20 minutes. By then I'm eating my sandwich and I just want to go home.
Well, I like to know what's in my... I'm sorry, Brendan, if it's upsetting to you.
Anyway.
Why don't they have a sign out the front that says, this is the soup we have and here's what's in it? Make the world a lot easier.
Well, let's check if you can match up with Amanda, okay?
Good luck, Barbara.
Here we go.
Thank you. Well, my soups are pumpkin, minestrone, tomato, chicken noodle, and pea and ham.
Pea and ham.
My mum used to make a really good pea and ham.
Is it all ham with little bits of pea, or is it all pea with little bits of ham?
Well, it's both. Probably more ham, you're right, but all chickpeas in it. Salty as, but delicious.
Okay, Barbara, let's have a look.
I'd have said the first 5 that came into my head, Barbara.
Okay.
Barbara, you said pumpkin.
Yes.
Amanda said pumpkin.
No pet names at work.
Barbara, you said tomato. Amanda said tomato.
$200, Barbara.
Barbara, you said chicken noodle. It's good for what ails you, because Amanda said chicken noodle.
$300, Barbara.
Barbara, you said pea and ham.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Amanda said potato and leek. Where you said minestrone, Amanda said carrot. Who drinks carrot soup?
You don't. Maybe you've not heard of carrot soup, and you don't drink a soup, Brendan. You eat it. I often have carrot soup. It is delicious. Are you disputing carrot soup?
I dispute carrot soup. Who has carrot soup?
I do.
You're on drugs. Barbara.
I'm sorry, Barbara.
You've done well. You've got $300.
$300.
Fire it up, Barbara.
Fantastic.
There she goes.
Off to make a carrot soup, I'm assuming.
Hang on, into second gear. I had a very awkward moment with a hero of mine on the weekend. I don't feel I want to talk about it.
I thought you said you didn't leave your house. Don't tell me it was in the mirror.
It's 7:09. Carrot soup.
It's a thing.
WSFM.
Damnation.
So you said you had an awkward encounter with a hero. What happened?
I was out paddling on Friday, just, shaking it all off. And when I go for a paddle, I put my ear pods in and just sort of shut the noise out from the world. And I'm just, rocking out to some.
Would you be able to hear if someone was calling out, "There's a shark behind you"?
Well, yeah, you can. But I was listening to a podcast about ancient history, actually, as I was paddling along. And I saw E.T., as in
Alien,
not the extraterrestrial, Andrew Eddinghausen, former Sharks great, and Escape with E.T. host. And he was fishing, because that's what he does. So he was just enjoying his solitude there.
And then you wrecked it?
No, and I was paddling on, but I saw him at the last minute, and we sort of made eye contact. He was in his little boaty thing, fishing, and I'm paddling along. And he went, "G'day, mate." And I went to say, "Working hard," or "staying strong." So instead I went, "Staying hard." And he did this look. It was this look of like, what?
Exactly, what?
Because I was a bit of a clip. So I was because I was listening to my podcast, so I wasn't paying attention to what he was saying.
So you didn't stop and explain?
No, there was no time to explain. We like ships in the night. We were past each other.
So
and,
you called out to him, "Staying hard," and then paddled on.
Yeah, staying hard.
Does he think you're talking about him or you?
I don't know. That's what. And then I thought, oh, far out. I just thought. And I wanted to go back. And
awkward, very awkward.
But then I thought it's too late.
No, you can't go back. When I said hard, I wasn't.
I'm sure that you're very virile.
No,
but
but you can't go back.
Yeah.
Well, did you see this guy? You know how when Jeff Bezos went into space recently, it was only a 10-minute journey, but a guy who'd paid $28 million at an auction. He couldn't go because there were scheduling conflicts.
Yeah, I'd like to know about that guy.
Yeah, had to stay home for a roast dinner. His mum had a lamb roast. So instead, an 18-year-old physics student who was Dutch from the Netherlands went up. And how awkward would this have been? Because they said to him afterwards, "What did you talk about next to the richest man in the world?" And he said, "I told Jeff I've actually never bought anything on Amazon."
What do you say?
And he said, "Wow, it's a long time since I heard somebody say that." How awkward's that? Luckily, they weren't in the space station for 3 years at a time.
Yeah.
Luckily, the whole situation ended minutes later. But how awkward. Do you remember when I've had a lifelong crush on the Irish singer Luca Bloom. Mm-hmm. And when I first met him, I was working on the Denton television show with Andrew Denton, and we're invited by the record company to have a drink afterwards because he'd been on the show, and I was so overexcited. So I was sitting down. He was sitting next to me. He just thought I was an idiot, but I just wanted it to mean so much.
He's a good judge of character, the Irish.
And one of his colleagues was leaving and said goodbye, and I forgot how to speak English.
Did you say staying hard?
I said, hello, as he walked off. Andrew still mocks me about that. I forgot how to speak English.
Didn't you say at Andrew Denton's father's funeral?
He was talking about his grandfather, but I made a mistake and said, so where's your father now? And Andrew said, you haven't understood today's proceedings, have you? You know that box business?
I think the tribal drum will beat for this. Awkward chat.
Awkward.
The celebrity edition.
Oh. Have you said staying hard to E.T.? Have you told Jeff Bezos you've never used Amazon?
If you're our man of the match, how good's this? A Logitech home office pack work and feel better with the Logitech ergonomic keyboard and mouse duo.
Jam Jam Nation.
Well, that was awkward.
Awkward.
Tribal Dramas beating Awkward, the celebrity edition.
Remind us again what you called out at Andrew Eddinghausen as you
Well, I didn't call out
past.
anything. I was just paddling and just had my podcast. I was listening to a podcast, so I wasn't really paying attention. I saw ET. He was fishing because that's what Andrew Eddinghausen does. He fishes. He's sitting in his boat just fishing away. And as I'm paddling past him, he goes, "G'day, mate." And I went to say working hard or staying strong.
Staying strong? What's that?
Because I wasn't really paying attention. Instead, it came out, "Staying hard." And he looked at, and he heard what I said, and he looked at me like I was a nut.
Yeah.
He said, "What?" And there was no time to come back.
Of course. That's where the scenario ends, and you have to just paddle off into the distance.
Shannon has joined us.
Hello, Shannon.
Morning, guys. Happy Monday.
Thank you. Awkward Chat, the celebrity edition. What have you got?
So it was about 10 years ago, and we took my mum to the Easter show. She had cancer and she'd never been to Homebush, so she wanted to go. So off we go to the Easter show. And we're wandering around. We bumped into Larry Emder. And she was always a big fan of Larry's anyway, so he's pleasant, had a chat, he's lovely. And as we've walked off and went our separate ways, she's turned around to me and said, "Oh, geez, I thought he'd be taller in real life." And he was still behind us and turned around and said, "Yes, I can still hear you." Thanks, Mum. Thanks.
Larry starts on The Chase tonight.
He does.
This is a big gig.
Not as tall as you imagine.
I can still hear you. Thanks, Shannon. Garth has joined us as well. Hello, Garth.
G'day, how you going?
Good, thanks, mate.
What happened?
Well, I went to school with Mike Munro, and 30 years later we had a school reunion, and we all got together and started chatting, and I went up to Mike and I asked him, "What do you do for a living, Mick?" And the guy, so humble and sweet, he proceeded to tell me what he did for a living, and I felt so bloody stupid and foolish. I had to let him keep telling me. I didn't want to make a fool of him.
Yeah.
So I just felt awkward. He told me what he did for a living and all that sort of business. And,
So you said it as a joke, Garth?
Yeah, I was only kidding. I knew what he did.
Oh, right.
So you weren't trying to razz him or belittle him. You just said it as a joke.
Yeah. He's a lovely guy.
He is. And he's so humble that he then explained who he was and what he did.
Yeah, in a very shy way.
Oh, how awkward.
There's 50 minutes you're not getting back. He would have gone into great detail as well.
Oh, that's terrible, Garth. You poor thing.
Well, that'll teach you, Garth, for being a big smarty pants. We've got some more calls coming up after the news. Also, Barry Dubois, he's getting into politics. Why would you do that?
He'll tell us all.
Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
Podcast.
Get up, ladybugs. It's way too early for this guy.
No rest for the wicked.
Well, that was awkward. The celebrity edition. I'm paddling along, just in the mind of my own business. I came across E.T. E.T., great footballer, also great fisherman. And he was just fishing by himself. The only sort of thing that you can do these days. And I went to say to him, working hard or staying strong. Instead, I said, staying hard. And he looked at me like I was a nut.
Oh, those awkward moments. When I was a segment producer on the Midday Show with Ray Martin, I loved Spandau Ballet, and I was so excited because they were coming on the show. I'd seen their show the night before. I knew all of them, blah, blah, blah. I mean, in my mind. And they came in, I had to introduce them to Ray Martin.
Oh.
I couldn't remember a single one of their names. And I go, "Ray, this is..." I can my palms sweat just thinking about it.
This is old mate.
Oh, dreadful.
One of the girls at the typing pool,
No,
Anna.
we don't call them the typing pool.
One of the girls that went to university and trained and
one of our
worked her
production
way
team.
to the top.
One of our production team. Anna, you have a classic awkward chat with a celebrity. Talk us through it.
Oh, classic one. So years ago when I was on reception at another station, who will not be named, I got to meet lots of celebrities, and One Direction came in when they were at the height of their success, and they had to wait in reception before they went in for their interview. And I said, "Hi, how's your stay? Like, you enjoying Australia?" And straight away, I just needed to fill the space because there was, how many of them, and it was getting awkward. And I had Oreos on the table, and I decided to ask one of them, "So, Zane, how do you eat your Oreos?" And he looked at me like, sorry, what? And then I went on to ask them, what are their favourite colours? I see you're wearing red today. Is that your favourite colour? Anyway, in the moment, I didn't realise how terrible it was. But when they left, they asked for my number. So obviously it worked.
It worked.
So you were putting bums on seats. Which one asked what? Did the whole band ask for your number?
Well, Zane. I didn't know at first that it was Zane asked for my number. So
You asked him how he liked to eat an Oreo.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that on Val Dunican when he comes in.
But maybe you looked at the Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, maybe you were asking something you weren't aware of, Anna.
Did anything come of it?
No, I had a boyfriend at the time for one, and also I'd eaten too many Oreos that day, so
Wow. But you did go out with them, didn't you?
All of them as a group, not a one-on-one date. Let's not get any ideas, but it was good. But
Was there any pash?
No, maybe no, not there.
Here we
What's
go.
the maybe mean?
Yeah.
No, I forgot. I'd accidentally kissed some other people, but not part of One Direction, so it's okay.
Well, you went for the Arnott's assorted.
So instead of just going out with one of them, you went out with all of them.
And pashed another person instead.
In a different band, yeah.
Who was that?
No, I can't. Oh, guys, this took a turn. What was the band called? Rudimental, that's right.
Oh.
Wow. So you had it off with Rudimental.
Was it the rude bit that did it?
No comment.
Don't you love working from home?
No, we've got to get people to go to your house to pash you.
Good on you, Anna.
Thank you, Anna.
That was well explained.
Jam Nation.
Let's get on down to the Jonesy and Amanda Arms for the pub test. Other states giving us their vaccines. Does this pass the pub test?
Interesting, isn't it? When we hit those frightening numbers at the end of last week, our Premier said that she would be hoping that other states would donate some of their vaccines to us, some Pfizer to us. The ATAGI, have I got that right, have changed the ruling on AstraZeneca, saying in light of the algorithm where we are now, anyone over 18 is being urged to get any vaccine they can.
Yeah.
And if that means AstraZeneca, go ahead and do it. They're saying that the mixed messaging around that, really, we need to stop that because it's better to be vaccinated than not in our current climate. 39-year-old woman passed away over the weekend.
Well, that was a scary statistic. 1 in 238 people with COVID have ended up in death.
And you look
that's scary.
Yeah, you look at the statistics of people in hospital, how young they all are. We need more Pfizer or AstraZeneca. I know I've been hearing that they're throwing out AstraZeneca because people just aren't going for it. Come on, people.
I'm
get
going for
anything
my second dose today.
I am too.
Might get a fourth. Can you get more?
Sure, if you want to.
Like the Hulk.
But would you, if you want to, but your shirt's all split. Interesting idea, though, because the Prime Minister has said there will be some extra doses, 90,000 extra doses of Pfizer coming to New South Wales, but they won't be coming from anyone else's stockpile. He has to say that, doesn't he? Victorian Premier said, pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, no, you can't have ours because we have enough that we need. Same with South Australia. Brad Hazzard, who is the New South Wales Health Minister, has said, come on, guys, last time I looked, we were a Commonwealth. We worked together. Disturbs me that all we've ever done to work together has seemingly been cast aside. When we have bushfires and floods, people from our state go to help others. He did also say that we have carried the weight of hotel quarantine for the country. Half of the people coming into our country have quarantined in New South Wales. So we've taken the load of that. But let's use that bushfire analogy. If you're in South Australia and you're having terrible bushfires, and in New South Wales we knew it was a tinderbox and we were terrified that at any second we would need all our equipment and all hands on deck, would you want our firefighting equipment and people to go to South Australia?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
But as they say, we are the engine room of the country and Sydney is an emergency. Actually, in fact, these are the words they've said.
What we were going through here in New South Wales is a national emergency.
All hands on deck for New South Wales.
What do you think? Other states giving us their vaccines. Does it pass the pub test? We'd love to hear from you. 13 WSFM. We'll have that for you at 8 o'clock. Barry Dubois is going to run for Parliament.
For the Senate, as an independent.
It's the same thing, isn't it?
No, well, I get him to explain the difference to you.
Why is he doing this? We'll talk to him next.
Jonesy and Amanda. Jam Nation.
Podcast.
Well, what do you know? My mate from the living room, Barry Dubois, is running for a Senate seat in the next federal election. He launched Team Baz yesterday. To explain what all this means, we thought we'd go to the man himself, Barry Dubois. Hello.
The horse's mouth.
Very kind of you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Why, Barry?
Why? Jonesy, because we've got this beautiful show, The Living Room, I get to get out to all the suburbs, get to meet lots of different people. I've also got my beautiful 9-year-old twins, and I can see that there's a culture in the country that doesn't suit the average person. I think I just want to change that up. I think there's a lot of swings and roundabouts, but I think there's a bit of an unbalance. And I think a position in the Senate to advocate for the average person.
When you say no balance, Barry, what do you mean? What's out of whack?
What's out of whack is the Senate. Our Constitution was designed so a lower and upper house in Parliament. We vote for ScoMo or Albo, and they're the lower house, and then they're going to create the legislation, the laws that govern us and really create our culture. Well, since the 70s, we changed the voting around, so now that the upper house, the House of Review, is mostly populated by the two major parties. So effectively, when you want to get a legislation through, it's like having your best mate mark your exam, and if you pass, he gets a pay rise. So there's no one really in there advocating for the average person. It's big lobbyist companies. I mean, the lobbying industry is one of the biggest industries in this country now. So it's people making an extraordinary amount of money swaying politicians in favour of big corporations.
So you've said that you're going to put all legislation that comes through you as an independent in the Senate through 7 pillars. What are they?
Yeah. Well, sustainability, commerce, health, cohesion, education, very importantly, transparency. I believe that politicians generally weaponise secrecy. They hold things from us. There's a legislation before the Senate at the moment, which has had a grandfather clause since 1995 about protecting the richest people in the country from letting us know how much tax they pay. I mean, who legislated for that? Who thought that was a good idea? Who was advocating for the country when they put that legislation in place? No one. You know, I really think that politicians have lost touch with what the average person's about. I really do. I mean, I said something yesterday. I don't think many politicians have gasped for air in hospital, dug a trench, or even had the arse out of their pants at any one stage. But I've had all those things happen to me. So it gives you a pretty interesting perspective on life. And I think my perspective on life is a lot closer to the average person than most of the politicians.
Well, and if you've got a career politician, someone that's been in it since they were 17 years of age, they don't really have any idea, as you say.
The Senate is practically full of career politicians. Quite frankly, I mean, I know you two are very intelligent people, but you'd struggle to be able to name what senator you voted for because you don't know who these people are. They're put in position for the ones that are in the New South Wales Senate at the moment weren't even elected by the people. They were just given the position by the party when the senator that was elected by the party has taken a job as an ambassador in America or a board of a big company. It's secretism and politics secretizes, weaponizes the secrecy, and I just think we need transparency and balance. And I'll review, if I get in, I'm going to review every legislation put before us under those 7 pillars, and I'm going to make sure that the average person knows what's going on in there, because we just don't. There is no one advocating for the average person.
When it comes to the election, is your name in a little box and people all over Australia vote for you?
Well, that's what's happened. I mean, that's the way it used to be. That's how the Constitution was set up. The Senate, you were meant to vote for 76 individual people, but we changed the laws in the 70s, and now they said it was going to be easier for us. So if you're above the line, you vote for that party and they'll decide who's in the Senate for you. Well, you know, you're getting what you paid for there. It's like you can be sitting at your dining room table and have Uber Eats deliver the food to the table, or you walk down to the front gate and get a home cooked meal. If you want a home cooked meal with real goodness in it, you're going to have to vote for the people you want in the Senate. Don't allow the parties to do it. In saying that, yes, I've had to form a party because you have no chance unless you're above the line. I need over 700,000 people to vote for me. I think ScoMo needs 36,000 to become the Prime Minister of this country. I need over 700,000 to vote for me to have a seat and advocate for the average person in the Senate. I just don't see how that system works.
Well, there it is. You're on the hustings. It's happened. And I like how you work under 7 pillars. Amanda works under 4 pillars, the gin.
That's right, 4 pillars gin. I thought that's what this was about. I would have spoken to you
I dare say
otherwise.
your campaign posters will look great with that hair. I'll put one of those up in my front yard.
Yeah, well, good hair says a good politician. Everybody says that.
And Barry, can I ask you this? You're not leaving the living room to do this, are you? This will be an add-on?
No, most of these people work for their parties, and they have their career. They work in other jobs as well. It'll mean 40 or 50 days in Canberra. It'll mean a lot of review. I'll have a staff if I get there. It's going to take a lot of work, guys, though, and I really encourage people, if you want someone to be advocating for the average person, go to the website, teambaz.com.au. I need volunteers. I definitely need some donations. I'm up against people with bottomless pits of money, and it's going to take a lot of work. And if you want an advocate, get on board.
And you need a VO5 sponsorship.
There's Paz. And, I'm happy to fill your boots on the living room. I can knock up some shelves better than anyone. I've got all the Ryobi tools. I got the banter. I've got all the stuff. So,
You're also earning a fortune there, Jonesy. So chuck 20 or $30 into the donation tin.
Done. Done and done.
Make sure he does.
Happy to do it.
That'll let the butterfly, that'll let the moth out, Amanda.
Teambaz.com.au. Barry Dubois, thank you.
Thanks, Baz.
Good on you guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, see ya.
Fight the good fight.
Jam Nation. I want you to get up right now.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Go to your windows, open them, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell. I'm not going to take this anymore.
Down to the Jonesy Amanda Arms for the pub test. Other states giving us their vaccines. Does it pass the pub test?
Well, we are in a state of national emergency, we've been told. New South Wales does the heavy lifting when it comes to quarantine. We have taken in half of all international flights for quarantine over this whole duration. And right now we need help. Other states are saying, well, sorry, use your own allocation. We need ours. So what do you think?
Other states giving us their vaccines. Does it pass the pub test?
No, every state should have their own supply. Fair is fair.
I'd love all the premiers to get on, have a conversation and share the vaccines. When it's their turn and they have a spike, we can give them some extra vaccines. I don't get the big deal.
Well, I think the better question is why don't we have enough vaccines available? They have their own priority, just as we have our own for New South Wales.
I think it should pass the pub test, because when other states are all in real hassles, who do they turn to? They turn to us, New South Wales. Like the Chief Medical Officer said, we're a commonwealth, not a singular wealth. Grow up, Australia, grow up.
Yeah, grow up. You know what I like about watching the Olympics is how quickly you become an expert in stuff. Like cycling, I've become an expert in peloton and explaining at length about different gear ratios and things like that.
Explaining to who?
To my wife.
Oh, poor Helen.
Whose eyes dried out with boredom.
We'll talk about it next.
Jam Nation.
Well, we're going to talk to Mel McLaughlin in Tokyo shortly, but before we get to the expert, let's just goof off and become the experts ourselves.
We're true experts. You watch any sort of Olympic event, you instantly become an expert.
We're epidemiologists, now we're experts. You were talking about the road race on the bikes. What's that called?
The road race on the bikes.
One day, Saturday was the boys, or the men.
Yep.
Yesterday was the women. And this is a really steep thing. You never see this in the Tour de France. I think the final hill was rated a 20.
Yeah.
Outrageous. And unlike when you normally compete, they're not allowed radio contact with anybody. So the person who won was from Austria. So she crossed the line.
And you think she'd be used to the hills. There's a lot of hills there.
But the heat probably killed
I've seen Sound of Music. When they get out of there to bugger off over to Switzerland, they're walking up a pretty big hill.
In the heat, though, and the humidity. So
but they have the Germans after them.
Well, that would make you speed up. She was a surprise winner. The woman who was the Dutch woman 75 seconds later, she didn't know that this other one had won. So she crosses the finishing line, raising her arms in the air. Woohoo!
And she was ahead of the peloton.
She was in the peloton, and at the last minute
she went
in front, thinking, I've won.
The peloton, by the way, if you're a little bit perplexed and not an expert in cycling like I am, is the group of riders.
Yeah, apparently so. So she crossed the line, not realising she'd placed second. She embraced her support staff, and everyone's crying because there's the sheer horror. The one who won came off a bike and was sort of screaming, trying to get a breath. It's not an easy thing to watch.
What about that Uber Eats rider that went past them all?
For a $2 tip. So she embraced her support staff and was visibly confused when informed about the result.
Imagine delivering that news.
Delivering Uber Eats and then delivering that news.
By the way, you haven't won.
One guy who's gone viral, not in a COVID way, is a volleyballer from Argentina. Everyone, when they're performing, have their names on their backs. His name is Augustin Loser. So he just has Loser.
Augustin Loser.
Written on his back.
And what's he do?
I just said he's a volleyballer.
Oh, yeah, right.
When he's not delivering Uber Eats.
Yeah. What about the skateboarding? I was watching the skateboarding. I was enjoying that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I like about the skateboarding? Firstly, my father said that it would never be an Olympic event.
Oh, God, him a beauty.
Sucked in, Dad. Secondly, that they don't wear any safety equipment, which I like, because in this world, you've got to wear a hard hat as soon as you walk outside. These guys don't wear any of that, and they get to wear their earpods, so they're listening to music while they hit the bowl.
Music? What would you be listening to?
I don't know. They'd be going this.
Yeah, that's Olympic gold right there.
Or
Xanadu, really?
Yeah. When you're skating, as you're grinding the rim.
I remember that in the movie.
Actually, I don't think you grind the rim. I think you grind the rails.
For afterwards in the Olympic Village, once you're off the cardboard bed. Canadian commentators, awkwardly, when they saw the Australian flag bearers, Kate Campbell and Paddy Mills, said, look at these two women.
Oh, yeah, because Paddy's got the long hair.
And a girl's name.
Yeah.
They thought it was a woman. What about this? The South Korean broadcasters in the opening ceremony, I don't know why they thought they'd do this, but to all the countries in a context, they had pictures that went with them.
Mm-hmm.
So for some reason, when they had Romania, they put up a picture of Dracula, pizza for Italy, etc.
Of course.
When the Ukrainians came out, they flashed up images of Chernobyl. Then let's talk about the Tongan.
Oh, the Tongan. Is he back?
The Tongan is back and still in peak physical condition. You know, he himself has said, because he was so oiled up, he said he had to hide from the Olympic flame because he was at risk of being deep fried. You know, his name, let's give him a name.
Yes, he's not just the Tongan.
Taufa'atofua.
Taufa'atofua.
And when I look at information about him, it's like I've written it for my teenager
What's
diary.
He do?
Well, I'll tell you what he does. He's an engineer by academic training who lists martial arts as his thing. He's a taekwondo guy. He lives in Australia and serves as an ambassador for UNICEF.
No.
Oh, perfection on a stick.
And what sport is he competing in?
Let me have a look. I don't know. No,
I get if I know.
I'm watching all of them in case he pops up.
He'll be grinding the rim. Mel McLaughlin is an expert on Olympics, and she joins us from Channel 7 and Tokyo next.
Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
Podcast.
Wasn't it a tonic yesterday? The swimmers put such a smile on our faces. We won gold, we won silver, we won bronze. A very nice distraction. We're going to cross live to Tokyo now.
Yes.
To Channel 7's Mel McLaughlin, who's got all the information.
Yep. Who is a woman in Tokyo.
Hello, Mel.
See what we did there, Mel? I know you're a big Deep Purple tragic.
No, absolutely. Good morning, guys, and thanks for Girls Just Want to Have Fun. It's really put me in the mood for another big day. It's really hot over here, but we are having fun. I'm not complaining. It's been amazing, and what about our swimmers? There's been a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement, especially with the trials, and we knew that there was some special swimmers coming through, and obviously, the veterans, we can call them, the Kates and the Brontes. Emma McKean, we're not going to call her a veteran, but, these girls have done it again. Same event, same gold medal, just a different venue, 3 Olympic Games in a row. So, I think a lot of people got emotional about that. But we have plenty of reason to be excited about our swimmers. And I must say I was extremely lucky myself to be at the Boomers last night. I had a whole section of the stadium to myself. But,
when we won against Nigeria, and apparently the Americans have lost to the French. First time they've lost a basketball game since Athens, so they're not indestructible.
No, that's right. And, I interviewed Paddy Mills, maybe 2 weeks ago, and he was just the belief in that guy. And I said, are you going to beat the Americans? He said, yes, they were in Las Vegas. And in the lead-up, there was an exhibition tournament, if you like, with Nigeria, Australia, Team USA and Argentina. And both Nigeria and Australia beat Team USA. And, yes, they weren't all together yet, all the top players, but they are now. And, yeah, they're absolutely... we know destructible now. Well, hopefully we're on course to meet them. Once we definitely get out of the group stages. But yeah, that's good news that the French did that. But I fully expect us to do the same.
And you're at the skateboarding. I was watching the skateboarding yesterday. I'm just so happy because my father, many years ago when I used to skateboard, said, well, it's not like it's going to be an Olympic sport. Well, in your face, Dad.
But you showed him.
I was watching it yesterday. I like the fact that they're not wearing any safety gear. That's pretty cool. But also, that guy, I think it was a Japanese guy, he fell off his skateboard and then he did the deal or no deal thing, meaning, can I have another go and start again?
Did he get one?
It's like they're making the rules up.
Yeah, well, it is so chilled out. That might have been, one of the hottest places on earth at the time, and they were all saying that because they've all got their trackies on. I love that you can wear trackies as well. I know that's a suggestive thing, but it's also, cool. I think, is that the one you mean who picked up the bit of gear on the I think there was a bit of the equipment on the actual course. He picked it up and kind of said, hey, this is in my way. I'm not sure it actually was in his way, but maybe he wasn't happy with his run. I don't know. And our Aussie, Shane O'Neill, things didn't go to plan for him, unfortunately. He couldn't land any of his tricks, but he's the most laid-back guy. They say he looks like he's asleep. He's that chilled out. And this guy, I say his name again, Shane O'Neill, he's got more Instagram followers than any other Aussie Olympic athlete, and he's a real rock star in the sport as well. But yeah, you get 5 tricks to try and land a couple of them and 2 runs, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
It is a tough thing, and this is what reminds you about the Olympics. Ash Barty had played a game that it seemed like it was a different player on the court. We saw Simone Biles, who was the American gymnast who was supposed to do such extraordinary things. She faltered as well. That's what the Olympics is like, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing, yeah. Conditions, say outside, for example, we can't emphasise enough just how hot it is, but that's obviously, a lot of people are indoors as well, but they've had this extra year I was going to say off, it's not off at all, but to contend with, which, can also go either way, I would say. In some of the interviews in the lead-up, I spoke to a couple of, there was one in particular, and she said, I'm not saying this on air, but she said, I'm really scared that I'm going to be, well, she swore, basically said crap, rubbish. She said, what if I'm rubbish? What if I haven't competed against people in such a long time on the world stage. We haven't been able to travel. What if I'm not, I'm going, you'll be amazing. Don't worry about it. But, there's that extra fear. And with the Australian Olympic team, it was they've had the most demand in the past year for mental health assistance as well, because obviously everyone's coping with so much, but you get here and it's not the usual build-up. And obviously for some, that's worked in a good way, and for some, not so much. And I'm not looking for excuses. I just think it's incredible what some of these athletes, have had to contend with, and they still get here and they're at the top level, and, competing at the top level. But there is an unknown.
And that's the thing. It's a nice distraction. I found it very nice to watch the opening ceremony on Friday, to watch the road race on Saturday, and then watching the skateboarding as well on Sunday. I just found that it was just a nice distraction. And you're doing a great job over there, Mel. I like that you're there. I like that you're representing us. You're doing a great job.
Thank you very much. I'm off to the skateboarding. We're following another Aussie girl. It's a really cool place to be, but also 2 years ago I broke my arm trying to be a skateboarder, which I'm not. So it's like a punch in the stomach every time I'm there.
So you got on the skate? Were you drunk when you got on the skateboard?
Look, I can't say too much, but I definitely thought I was much further than I was.
Okay. Well, we'll look for your report on Hayley Wilson. She's our great white hope when it comes to skateboarding over there. Mel, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it was a pleasure to talk to you guys. Hope you're well, and speak to you later. Go the Aussies.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mel.
Tokyo 2020 live and free on 7 and 7 Plus, the only place to see it all.
Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation
Podcast.
Sound check. Testing. This is it, folks. Over the top.
We lost some legends last week over the weekend as well, didn't we?
Oh, TV legends. David Leckie. He passed away last week. His funeral, I think, was at the very end of last week. He was an icon from Channel 7 and Channel 9, turned both those stations around. As they say, he's the last of the rock star CEOs. Television was in his blood. And very sad to lose David Leckie.
What about Phil Lambert or Lucky Phil from Hey Hey It's Saturday?
Is Lucky Phil.
Phil was the floor manager. And he actually was a huge character. He became part of Hey Hey It's Saturday, and he retired in 2019 after 50 years in the camera department and staging and floor manager. He was the longest serving staff member at Channel 9 in Melbourne. And all those characters around the show, like Crystal, they were actually...
They worked on the show.
And Murray Tregoning, who did all the sound effects, they worked on the show and then they worked on other shows. And it's weird when you'd turn up at Channel 9 to film something and go, wow, it's like meeting a giant celebrity, but that's the floor manager.
That's what they did. I always liked Phil.
I don't know if Angel was one.
Hello, Daryl. Hello, Aussie. I always like when Phil would come in. Remember Ken Morgan Toyota? They'd give away that car and there'd be the wheel, the plucker duck wheel. And then there was one day just trying to explain how the wheel worked to Ken Morgan, who sort of looked a bit bemused by it. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. It's one of the funniest things in the world. It's just like this spontaneous thing. Someone else who passed away, and I was just genuinely sad, was Strop or John Cornell. Passed away at the age of 80.
Very, very sad.
For anyone my age, it is such in the demographic. When I was a kid, every talent quest that we had at school.
Did you dress as Strop?
Everyone would do a Paul Hogan and Strop routine. The famous one was the Hangover Cure one.
Whenever I'm at home and I feel hungover or really, really depressed, I make me bomb. Never fails, you know. I'll make you one too.
What's in it?
First of all, a dash of the hair of the dog, room temperature.
So Strop would do that, he'd make this horrible drink, and then he'd drink it and didn't do anything, and then Hogs would drink it and then he'd chuck up. And that was TV. And then Delvine Delaney had come out in a string bikini and
everyone was happy.
We'd all be happy.
And how did you do it at school?
Every year we had a talent quest, and every year I'd be front and centre to do my impressions of whoever it would be. But it was always something from the Paul Hogan show. And one year the drama teacher said, please, no more Paul Hogan. Strop stuff. So that year I went on to do Alan Seal. Remember Alan Seal? Aphids. And they had Alan getting eaten by a giant caterpillar.
How did you manage that? Special effects?
I had a mate of mine dress up as a giant caterpillar, and I ummed him a bit on the little card table, and there'd be all the plants getting pulled down while I'm talking, and then this giant caterpillar came and ate me.
That's very inventive. Also, the thing, when we grew up, of course, John Cornell was Strop, but smart man. He produced Crocodile Dundee, the most profitable Australian movie of all time. It still remains that. And 10 years later, he was the one who took the concept of World Series cricket to Kerry Packer and started an entire sporting revolution.
And he wasn't even supposed to end up on the Paul Hogan show. They just didn't have any other actor to play the part of Strop, and he did want to be a part of it. So they said, oh, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go as a one-off character, and he became part. He's the reason I do this now. So, you know.
Vale.
Or Vale.
Both.
Jam Nation.
My T-shirt drawer looks really good now, the way they're all divided up.
I'm glad this lockdown has been of use to you.
I wore my Bring Back the Pasha Bolka T-shirt.
I gave
you bought
that.
Me in 2000. And when was the Pasha Bolka?
Oh, it was still after the Pasha Bolka when I bought that for you because it was ironic.
Yeah. My greatest moment of that was Joe Tripodi, the then Ports Minister, saying it's going to be stuck there for some time, and then it's getting pulled off behind him as he's saying it's going to be stuck there for some time. So anyway, that's something I did. I didn't go and protest, that's for sure.
See, when all of us are trying to do, well, the vast majority of us, 100,000 got tested. Brilliant. And then you have those knobs. And I get that everyone's frustrated, but there was a big anti-vax scene in there too. Jesus is my vaccine. You think, well, is Jesus giving you COVID? Given the world COVID, where do you draw the line on what Jesus' job is here? I'm sorry to sound sacrilegious, but there's all around the world, the tide is turning against unvaccinated people. It's different in Australia because if everyone wanted to be vaccinated, we still don't have enough. But anti-vaxxers are a different story. The French president said last week, I no longer have any intention of sacrificing my life, my time, my freedom, and the adolescence of my daughters for those who refuse to be vaccinated. This time you stay home, not us. How good's that? I just read something on the weekend. The Israeli Prime Minister has said, "Dear those who refuse vaccines are endangering their health, those around them, and the freedom of every Israeli citizen. As of the 8th of August, those who refuse vaccine will not be able to go to the cinema, the theatre, the synagogue, the amusement park, a soccer game, or any activity with over 100 people indoors or out, unless you bring a negative result from a corona test that's done at your own expense."
Wow.
Alabama's Republican governor has said, "Unvaccinated people are letting us down. It's time to start blaming them, not the regular folks." And German politicians are at the moment divided. Angela Merkel's chief of staff has been saying unvaccinated people won't have the same access to life as vaccinated people. We're going to start seeing passports, ability to get into theatres, to restaurants, whatever. You'll have to prove you've been vaccinated, because in those countries, anyone who wants to get vaccinated, they have enough vaccines. But I'd like to think that here, the minute we have these vaccines, and now we've been told that anyone over 18, go and get AstraZeneca.
Sure.
Let's start turning the tide here so that we're not staying at home to compensate for those that refuse.
And if you go to your doctor and you talk to him about that. Or her, of course, you can get what you need, the information that you need, which I did. I've up for my second shot of AstraZeneca tonight.
Me too.
And you just go and see them and they'll say, well, look, they give you all the information you need.
Well, they've changed the ruling, or not the ruling, the advice on it. One of the girls in our production team, she's in her early 30s. She's going to have AstraZeneca. She's decided, I just need to get vaccinated. They've said that anyone over 18, the algorithm has shifted and we urge you to get vaccinated in any way you can. So that's how we'll get out of this lockdown. That's how we will move forward. And I can see the rest of the world is saying we have no tolerance for the anti-vaxxers. As Macron says, this time you stay home, not us.
Don't go out punching horses. Get the vaccine.
Stay home and punch cones like Brendan does.
Where's that coming from?
I made that up.
Did you?
You only do that at work.
Jam Nation.
Everybody shout! Come on now, sing out! It's time for the Ghoulies get together.
Just a reminder, our favourite ghoulie of the year wins $10,000 cash and a brand new Spinalese mattress valued over $16,000.
What have we got today?
What gets my ghoulie? I'm missing hugging my friends. I hug my dogs and my cats and they're running. And I miss hugging, I miss touching, saying hello. We can't do that anymore. That's what gets my ghoulie.
Yeah, it's tough,
Funny
isn't
how she said the dogs and cats are running away. Our dog is exhausted. Yesterday, Saturday and Sunday, I walked the dog in the morning. Jack then took the dog for a walk in the afternoon. She just came home and collapsed. But it's our only way to get out of the house.
It's looking like Cliff Young after that marathon.
Maybe.
What else have we got?
What gets my ghoulies is these reality shows like Farmer Wants a Wife or The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, and all the contestants that are on there. It's as if they've never watched the damn show. They all get so cut up and jealous because he's kissing her and she's kissing him, and oh my God, like seriously, don't go on the friggin' show then. Oh, it gets my ghoulies.
It's funny.
True.
People will go on thinking, I won't be like that, but human nature takes over.
What, human nature's on the show as well?
They take over every time.
Out with the bad and with the good. If you dipped out, doesn't matter. You could always call the hotline 9061 7984. It's 6 to 9.
Our favourite caller email, a Facebook friend, wins a Logitech home office pack. Work and feel better with the Logitech ergonomic keyboard and mouse duo.
You also get the Jonesy Demander tea towel and branded bobblehead. I had an awkward situation on Friday. I was out there going for a bit of a paddle just to shake things off.
Sure.
I was listening to a podcast and I was paddling along, and there was E.T., Andrew Eddinghausen, fishing, just enjoying the solitude.
Oh, no. Is that what you said?
No. And because I was listening to the podcast, I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on. E.T. hallooed me, said, "G'day, mate." And I said, I was hoping I would be saying, working hard, mate, or staying strong. I said, staying hard. And he looked at me like I was an idiot.
Well, Tribal Drummer's beating for Awkward Chat, the Celebrity Edition. Here's Shannon from Gaimea.
We took my mum to the Easter show and we're wandering around. We bumped into Larry Emder. Pleasant, had a chat, he's lovely. And as we've walked off and went our separate ways, she's turned around to me and said, "Oh, geez, I thought he'd be taller in real life." He was still behind us and turned around and said, "Yes, I can still hear you."
Dreadful.
I'm right behind you.
Righto, you two. That's enough.
WSFM's Total Recall is back where the money is in the music.
How does it work?
All you have to do is name the last 5 songs we've played by title and artist. For every song you correctly identify, we'll pay you $100.
And if you listen to our Jam Nation podcast over the weekend, we gave you a code word to double your money. If you haven't got it, get to it.
Get to it. Mike Byrne has your first chance after 9.
We'll see you tonight at 6 o'clock for Jam Nation.
Good day to you.
Well, thank God that's over. Goodbye. Goodbye. Wipe the tear, baby dear, from your eyes.
A podcast of today's show is available to download from the iHeartRadio app.
All the cool kids are doing it. Goodbye.
Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
Podcast. Catch up on what you've missed on the free iHeartRadio app.